All right, everyone. So we are going to get started. If in the middle of everything it goes quiet and we mute, it's just because we're trying to keep the background noise to as much of a minimum as is possible. It's not because we don't want to hear from you. It's the exact opposite. We'd love to hear from you. But with so many people on a call, as I'm sure you all know, it definitely starts to get a little noisy and a little crazy. Everyone should have the ability to unmute themselves. If not, please just message us in the chat and we'll make sure that you do. Hi, everyone. My name is Daniel Friedman. I am the Director of Community Engagement for Jewish National Fund. So I have the distinct pleasure of working with all of our day schools, Sunday schools, religious schools, afternoon programs, evening programs, kind of the whole 9 yards, the gamut of Jewish education up until they reach high school, which is actually exactly how I like it. My niece is 4, and that's exactly who I like to spend the majority of my time with. Once they get to become teenagers, they have too much attitude for me. But I salute all of you. I wanted to say thank you to everyone for taking the time out to join us. Today, we're going to be focusing our educational materials on Yom Ha'atzmaut and the different programs that can be run either in classes, virtual, or in some form of hybrid format, because just I know, we have educators from across the country, and just the way the schools are set up is just so different from where everyone is. So just a big thank you for joining us. It's my distinct pleasure. I'm going to turn it over to Zohar Vlasky, who is our Israeli emissary, covers the entire United States, but lives in Florida, and is just dying to meet everyone. My final piece is just that we actually have an educator's mission. I know it's crazy to think about actually traveling right now, but we are scheduled to leave at the end of July. I'm going to drop the link here in the chat. It is open to any of the educators. The way the program works is you find your way to Israel, and then thank you so much to Eliana, and then we will take care of the rest. So we take care of all the ground transportation, the hotel transportation, and then we meet with educators from across the world, gather together, put our heads together, talk about new innovative programming, share ideas, and kind of continue to build this network. So Eliana, it's in the chat. The registration is open. The deposit is $350. The caveat is, of course, I feel like now you can't make any plans in COVID without a caveat. But the caveat is, of course, that if there are any issues, if we're traveling only according to the Israeli, the Ministry of Interior's health guidelines, if there are any issues or anything needs to be postponed, the deposit is fully refundable up until a few weeks before travel, because we have to start making accommodations. But we'll of course give everybody advance notice, but that will be completely refundable. And then if it doesn't end up running, we'll just roll over the registration until either the winter of this upcoming year or the following summer. But hopefully, if things continue to track in the direction that they are, we are set to travel in the end of July. So the dates are July 20th to the 26th. It's 6 days and 7 nights in Israel, which is kind of crazy, but that is where we're set. So now it's my distinct pleasure to turn it over to the one and only Zohar Vlasky. And Zohar, take it away.
Thank you so much, Daniel. Erev Tov lekulam, shalom. I'm so happy to meet all of you here. A few new faces, few very familiar faces. So hello and shalom, everyone. And it's a great pleasure for me to speak and to share with you a lot of ideas about Yom Ha'atzmaut, 73 anniversary, and more than we can give you today ideas, tools, videos, and activities that you can run with your students. And the idea, of course, is to connect and to engage to our lovely Israel, and hope you enjoy. So please let me share my presentation with you, and let's go. You see my presentation? Okay. Okay, thank you so much. So the idea is, what is our Israeli Jewish story? Where did we come from? We give you here some story, roots, the generation chain, by points, ideas, and tools. And as we always say, let's speak tachlis. Okay, what we can give you and what we can do. So let's start with Hatikva, but don't worry, you don't need to stand up now, but it's a really nice tool to see the hope, the Hatikva, and to use it for your students.
the ocean, under the blue sky. The sun is rising, it's climbing so high. I know a place where we can be freer. We will be stronger, so long will we be keeping our talking about Tikva, talking about my talking about Tikva.
This is my homeland, this is my story. I build my future with ancient glory. So take my hand now, we'll be together. The days are brighter, and we'll be dreaming now.
Falafel just got real.
Talking about Tikva, talking about my talking about Tikva.
אנו מכריזים בזאת על הקמת מדינה יהודית בארץ ישראל. היא מדינת ישראל.
Talking about Tikva, talking about my
I know that.
talking about Tikva.
Tikva
And we be singing now.
T-I-K-V-A, okay, now you got what I'm saying. Tikva, Tikva, come on, we be talking about not giving up, we rising up. Show me mine. It's that sound, can't get me down, not giving up hope, I still got T-I-K-V-A, okay, now you got what I'm saying. Tikva, Tikva, come on, we be talking about not giving up, we rising up. Show me mine, can't get me down, not giving up hope.
I still got hope.
So hope you enjoy, and this is one of the tools that we have for you. And don't worry, we will send you before Pesach the thank you letter, include the recording and include the tools, so you can have your link by your own and you can continue. So all about the decision before the declaration. What's happened? A little bit before the 73 years anniversary, May 14th afternoon. Oops, sorry. Sorry for that.
I should have put Zora on mute to get rid of the background noise. Amazing, Zora. I think you might just have to unmute now.
Okay. Sorry about that. And all about declaration, and one of the links that we will share with you, I just will share with you the beginning of animation.
May 14th,
story.
1948, 4 p.m. Tel Aviv. On a small podium stands a determined Zionist leader before a hastily convened gathering, reading out a proclamation which would change the course of history. This is how the State of Israel was born. First, a bit of background. At the end of World War I, the Allied powers gained control over the Middle East, including the land of Israel. The League of Nations recognized a historical connection of the Jewish people to their land and granted Great Britain a mandate.
So what you have here an animation movie for 3 minutes that can give you, the whole background and the whole story. It's very, very nice to
May
use it at
14th.
any ceremony and other opportunities for a class. But let's return to the decision, and to the decision actually 2 days before. Because if we try to think, when, where, how, why, and all the questions that we have, a big question, let's return for a second to Wednesday, or the big Wednesday, as we called, 2 days before the declaration, May 12, 1948. And Ben-Gurion make a big discussions and big question, if to announce now or soon, and if soon, when to announce, and what will be the borders of the new young state, and what about the name? They spoke about Judea, Ivriim, Zion, what will be the name? And of course, they need to confirm the Independence Declaration draft that came actually and based from the Bible, from the Tanakh, and also from Jefferson Declaration, 1776. So let's make a short discussion led by Daniel about this big question to announce or not. And by the way, take this opportunity to your classroom with your students and to speak after you can give them the background. So Daniel, please make the Ben-Gurion discussion 2 days before.
Fantastic. So this is something that we've done a ton in classrooms that I think really works well, both in the virtual and in the in-person models. I posted some of the key questions down in the chat. So if you can see, if it hasn't popped up, so just open the chat and you'll see the questions. But this is something that we're going to do and what we're going to model right now. So just to put yourself in that mindset, in the framework, the British mandate is ending in 2 days. Some members of the government are very in favor of announcing a state and trying to figure out what that state would look like. Some members of the government are completely against it. On the one hand, when else are we going to have this opportunity? For the first time in 2,000 years, the Jewish people have the opportunity to announce a state, to reclaim their sovereignty, to establish the third Jewish Commonwealth. On the other hand, all of the Arab neighbors are not really happy about the new person moving in on the block. We're almost positive that if we announce there's going to be a war, we don't really have a military. We've got a bunch of different people all over the place, each from their own fighting forces. We're not sure if we have the weapons. We're not sure if anyone's even in the world going to recognize us. So I'm going to turn it to you. What would you do, right? You're sitting in the room with Ben-Gurion. You have to fight with him. You have to lobby for your point. Do you think that Israel should announce? Do you think that they should wait? If they should wait, what should they do? Should they, reach out to the world nations and try and get England on board, or Russia, or the United States? What should the borders be? What name do you want to call? Now it's easy to look back and say, oh, of course you should declare it and call it Israel. But try and put yourself back in that moment, right? The threats are very real. The risks are very real. On the other hand, you have a very unique, very rare opportunity. So turning it over to you. I know it's a dangerous thing, but I'm gonna turn it over to everyone. You tell me, what would you do? What do you think? Yeah, sure, take it away.
If it was up to me, and I'm a scaredy cat, we wouldn't have Israel.
So why not? Tell me why not.
Few people and surrounded by so many enemies, and why now? Wait, they might attack, and all the list of things that can go wrong.
Amazing. So what would you wait for? What would be the perfect moment?
Since it's me, it's indefinite. I needed somebody else to convince me, and thank God for Ben-Gurion.
I agree. Amazing. So we'll go to Michael Feldman in Orange County. All right, Michael, maybe you can convince her.
Well, I also want to wait, but what I want to wait for is perhaps two things. Some more allies. I don't know, Russia, England. I think we have America on board, but I'd like some other heavy hitters. And I'd like some more military might, because like Levana, I think it's suicide to do it in the next 2 days. We'll be driven into the sea by all our neighbors. So I'm in the middle. Yeah, I want to wait, some other heavy hitters, some promise of some stronger military. So maybe a week or so.
Okay. What would you name, Mariel, I'm going to get to you in a second. What would you name this new country?
I kind of like Zion. It's from the Bible and everything. I would have gone with Zion, I think.
Beautiful. All right, Mariel, where are you going to fall on the spectrum?
I was thinking that I would check the biggest donor supporters, how is the financial support? Because with that you can buy arms and put together. I mean, it's horrible almost to think it like that, but I think the support financially that we would have to fight a war or to give medical attention and to provide food, and who's going to give money?
Fantastic. I think as everyone who works in the Jewish nonprofit world, we all know before you go out and build a new building, you should talk to your donor first. I totally agree. Esther, I feel like you've got a little more to say. You can unmute and join. I've never seen a shy Israeli before.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize. No, someone contacted me and it made me laugh.
No. What would you say? You say there's no perfect moment. What do you think?
There's no perfect moment. You can't decide what's the right moment to announce it. So when they announced it, was the perfect moment. Right after the UN decided, yes, there will be a Jewish country, boom, make it a fact. And that's what they did, and they did the right thing. Especially since so many countries were pro the Jews after all the suffering they went through and all the suffering they're going through with the Arab neighbors. I think it was the perfect time.
Amazing.
So that's it. As for the name, I would name it Yisrael and not Israel. I really don't like it that it's Israel. It should be Yisrael. But who am I? I mean, just my opinion.
You tell them. Well, I'll tell you, Israel's a country of people with just opinions. So, like, why not your opinion?
It should be Yisrael because it's with a Yud.
It's true.
So it should be. It always bothers me this dikduk. How do you say dikduk? The grammar, But
100%.
What else should I answer?
I don't know. I think you covered.
The border should be Transjordan too.
There was a huge support for both sides of Israel, for both sides of the Jordan River. That's not such a crazy idea. Anyone else? Anyone else feeling you wouldn't announce?
So guys, I will take it from here and say this is a great model to use for any age, actually for any age. So you can decide and you can give them the cards before and prepare them and show them a video before. But it's a great discussion, and then to learn about the names that probably made for Israel, like Israel, or Zion, or Ivriim, or Judea, or other names that they thought of. So maybe the decision of Ben-Gurion to make now the announcement 2 days later, maybe the Israeli chutzpah came from that moment. Think about it. So let's continue following by the presentation. And of course, we know the answer, and we know the history. And from May 14, 4:30 afternoon, the State of Israel was founded, and Megillat HaAtzmaut, the Independence Declaration, was signed, and etc., etc. But actually, let's go a little bit back. Where did we come from? What is our history, our roots, and the part of the long chain? Which part of? So let's go to the time tunnel, but as a quick visit. So let's start with Abraham. Abraham, almost 4,000 years ago, and Abraham, our father, the God, the Lord, say to him, go from your country, לך לך מארצך וממולדתך ומבית אביך אל הארץ אשר אראך. Go from your country, go from your homeland to the land that I will show you. And actually, Abraham were here in Mesopotamia, in Iraq, okay, today Iraq, okay, and went by Syria and crossed all over Israel, Lebanon, and then Israel, and crossed. And he didn't stop in Zion. You know why? Because Zion, Jerusalem, wasn't exist, okay? Then he stopped here, okay, in the middle of the desert. And let's jump to the Israeli map today. here is Beersheba. Henny Digger, there are 7 wiles. So this is the source of the name Beersheba. So it's really nice, to look back and to think and to speak about history almost 4,000 years ago, and then to jump what's happened today in Beersheba. And Jewish National Fund is a Jewish organization that established 120 years ago, decided to invest and to support the community buildings in Beersheba and also in the Galilee and also in all the Negev. But Beersheba, it's like under revolution, what's happened today, and let's say during the last 10 to 15 years. So let's see by the new initiative that is going to be in Beersheba almost 4,000 years later, to build a new Zionist village where in Beersheba, actually the 5th holy city all over Israel. Let's see a short movie.
Imagine a conversation about Israel, global Jewry, the leaders of today, of tomorrow, with people from Dimona, Denver, Kiryat Shimona, and Oklahoma. For the first time in Jewish history, Jewish National Fund is creating a conversation that will build bridges across generations, denominations, politics, and oceans. Direct from Beersheba in the footsteps of Abraham. The Jewish National Fund Israel Education and Technology Campus, a state-of-the-art village that will inspire Jewish leaders of all ages and backgrounds from all across the globe. A campus surrounded by sports fields, a 1,300-acre park, a 28-acre lake, an amphitheater, a 26-screen Cinematheque, and Israel's largest mall. Beersheba, a rich mosaic of people. Home to Jewish National Fund's Beersheba River Park, JNF's Louder Employment Center, Ben-Gurion University, and high-tech companies. An ideal location to make Jewish National Fund's vision come true. The campus will include an internship, innovation, and technology center, the first Zionist adult education center in the world, the southern campus of our semester abroad high school in Israel, top quality conference center facilities, study areas, a food court, restaurants, a synagogue, beautifully landscaped outdoor space, classrooms, and comfortable, modern overnight accommodations for short and long-term stays. The Internship, Innovation, and Technology Center is critical to helping college graduates stand out from the crowd in this ever-changing, fast-paced world. Jewish National Fund will use its vast connections with Fortune 500 companies to help people obtain internships. The Zionist Adult Education Center will provide a space for organizations and individuals in.
So you can see what's happened today, what's happened 4,000 years ago, and what's happened today. It's a good opportunity to show them, because you saw a real video from Beersheba. So we just started. And let's jump to Israel, the name of Israel. Where the name of Israel came from? It came from Jacob, when Jacob met the angel and he fought with the angel. So the angel gave him like a small prize. From now, your name will be not Jacob, it will be Israel, because you struggle. Ki sarita, Israel, sarita, you struggle with the God and with the angel, and you won. So our name Israel, and then Bnei Israel. So Bnei Israel, when we became as a nation, first as a family, big family, 12 tribes, then Bnei Israel, okay? And then we went Egypt as a nation. Bnei Israel Habaim Mitzrayma, the first at the beginning of Exodus book, and then the children of Israel. By the way, the name Israel, you can find, or the oldest place that you can find the name Israel, it came from the 12th century, the 1200 before century, one announcement from Pharaoh period. So then Exodus, you can take Israel, Bnei Israel, to Aliyah and to make Aliyah. So you can make like a discussion or kind of confirmation between Bnei Israel, Yardu Mitzrayma, and now Alu Chazara, came back to Israel. And then you have here some videos like the life in Beersheba from Naftali Aklum, the Ethiopian guy that live in Beersheba.
My name is Naftali Aklum. I was born in Ethiopia in 1979, and I made Aliyah with my family when I was 1 year old in 1980. My family were among the first groups to do the journey from Ethiopia to Sudan, and from Sudan to Israel. Actually, my brother was the first Ethiopian Jew to do the journey from Ethiopia to Sudan. Then he became a Mossad agent, and he was the one that opened the gates for Ethiopian Jews to come via Sudan.
Or another video, the families that make Aliyah and come to Israel by Nefesh B'Nefesh.
Good morning and Mazal Tov to all the new Olim. Today we celebrate our 60th NBN Aliyah flight.
And so the first one was Abraham, the first new immigrant, the first Oleh Chadash. And look what's happened during the last 4,000 years, almost 4,000 years from Abraham for today. And this is a good opportunity to discuss, to show, and to make a class around it. And the name Zion, one of the names that probably were to the state of Israel or to the state of Zion. So the name Zion came from Zion. And we are talking about 3,000 years ago when King David conquered and established Jerusalem here in the middle of the country. And he established the city of Jerusalem, let's say around 1,000 years later after Abraham. And what is important to say that this is the first time that the Jewish state is independent. This is really, really important because we are talking about Independence Day. So this is the first time. And then if we're running at the tunnel time, so the first temple period, and then the Assyrian conquest of Israel, and then the 10 tribes are exiled actually forever. So the only one that stayed was Judean. This is our name, from Judea tribe. Then the Babylonians destroyed the first temple, and then the Judeans, or the Jews, actually our nation name came from the Yehuda, Shevet Yehuda tribe. They returned to Jerusalem and rebuilt the temple, Bet HaMikdash. Then Alexander the Great came, and then the Maccabees. And the Maccabees revolt against the Greeks, and actually they established the second time of Jewish state independence. And this is really, really important when we count the first time during the King David period. Now we are talking about the Maccabees, the Hasmonean families time. And then we almost arrive to the third time. Then the Romans conquered Israel. And don't forget, of course, the second temple, like it's one of the peak of the Jerusalem's glory. And then during the 70th century, Jerusalem destroyed by the Romans. And then look what what few coins that made at Bar Kokhba revolt, Bar Kokhba time, for the freedom of Israel. Actually, this is the first time that we found something about any coin like gives us a hint, the name of Israel, and that Israel was more than exist. So let's jump to the Zionism. We spoke about Zion and now about the Zionism. And then Zionism came and led by Theodor Herzl that tried to find the solution, any answer to make and to build the Jewish state. So he brought people from all over the world, Zionist leader, to the first Zionist Congress at Basel, in Basel, Switzerland, 1897. And he said, we are here to lay the foundation stone of the house which is the shelter, the Jewish nation. And Herzl just started and opened, and actually, year by year, he brought hundreds of Zionist leaders to the second Congress and then the third one. But at the fifth Congress, 1901, he decided to make an action and to establish the state of Israel and to establish, to establish Keren Kayemet Israel, Jewish National Fund, that's going to build Eretz Israel. Then it will become to be the state of Israel. So the Zionist people ask him, we haven't money to do that, how we can make it? And he advised them, take the tzedakah box from the community, from the synagogues, from the shuls, and use them now and dedicate now to Israel. And coin by coin, dollar by dollar, they collect money. And the first purchase was 1903. The first purchase you can see at the Israel map from 1903. And you can see Israel Valley, Emek Israel. Okay, and the coast, Mishor HaChof, the coast of Israel, Haifa. Here is Tel Aviv. Okay, and the land that Jewish National Fund, JNF, or JNF, Keren Kayemet Israel, started to purchase acre by acre, dunam by dunam. And every donation, every purchase was written by the Golden Book. And the Golden Book exists in Jerusalem at the headquarters of KKL JNF. And everyone received a certificate. Here you can find a certificate by the donation who made by not else than the United States President, Franklin Roosevelt, in 1944. When he came to visit in Chicago, the Jewish community, he decided to make his own donation. So look what's happened because of those purchase and those history. Look at 1903 at the right side, okay? Look what at the middle, the map at the middle, the UN partition plan from November 29, 1947, and all the blue is actually going to be Israel, the state of Israel, a few months later. And the Arab state is in the brown or yellow-brown. Look at the left side map, Israeli map, you can see what is going here today at the Israeli map 73 years later. So then now we return back to May 14, 1948 to the Declaration of Independence, and this is the third time of the Jewish state independence, and now it's really important to put all the points during our history. Now I think it's a good way to engage our students to our background, our history, our roots, our chain, and then, of course, for tomorrow. By the way, 11 minutes later, after Ben-Gurion just finished his declaration on that Friday, the President Truman, the President of United States, signed that United States now join and recognize the State of Israel, and you can see by his hand, he wrote by his hand that we are talking about the State of Israel, President Truman. So let's speak tachlis about some tools and some materials that we have. But before, what's happened today in Israel? So JNF are dealing with community buildings, more than 60% of the efforts in the Negev and Galilee, not only in Beersheba. Beersheba is a good model, is a good opportunity to speak about Beersheba, and I gave you a kind of model that you can adapt or make your changes, whatever you like, or it's a good for you and for your class. But we have the Arava, and we have Chalutza, and we have in the Galilee a lot of places. But more than community buildings, we are dealing and continue with forestry and green innovation. We are talking about around 6%. Water solution, Israel suffers from water. So we are dealing with drills and reservoirs and drip irrigation and a lot of water solution that we can help and support the State of Israel that suffer from less water or water source to be revival, because there is no life without water. And of course, R&D to find the water solution and more opportunities to develop our state, Jewish state. Of course, Zionist education, heritage site, and disabilities and special needs. And here you can see by the Israeli map how many points. So you can take it for your class, a lot of opportunities with a lot of tools that you can find what will be in our resource like Ask Herzl, and more resource that I will show you very, very soon. So if we are talking about Ask Herzl, I will click one time and you will receive, again, you receive the presentation so you can see by yourself, and you will arrive directly to Ask Herzl and to this main page, and you can find Yom Ha'atzmaut, disability and special needs, people of Israel, water solution, etc., etc. And every place you can find like materials, and you can find like videos or some lectures and more that you can find by yourself. The internet is a little bit slow thinking about it, so let me return in meantime. You see my presentation now? So we have some program for you that you can do around Yom Ha'atzmaut, before Yom Ha'atzmaut. Yom Ha'atzmaut will be the start. You can start with them, or you can do it from Yom Ha'atzmaut to Yom Ha'atzmaut, or you can do it from Yom Ha'atzmaut to the end of the school year or at the beginning. And you have a lot of opportunities like Way to Israel, or with the Blue Box, adopt the firefighter in Israel, plant a tree in Israel, not only around Tu B'Shvat, and more and more. Here you can find a few mitzvah projects that we have some opportunities. So mitzvah project can be also around Yom Ha'atzmaut, not only for Bnei Mitzvah, it can be for your class, like special in uniform, very unique program with a volunteer who joined to the IDF with special needs, and this special program can give them the opportunity to serve as everyone and nobody left behind by Israel and by the IDF. And we have more and more, and of course about MHSI and other programs that we have during the summer that you can use. I wanted to jump to another resource that you can find by Ask Herzl, by Yom Ha'atzmaut folder, okay? And you can find here materials in English as well as in Hebrew. So you can decide if you want to take some materials in Hebrew, So because you are a Hebrew teacher, or you would love to challenge your students by Hebrew language, or most of the materials, of course, you can find by the both languages. So you can decide by yourself which language you want to use. Digital library. I click on the digital library and I will arrive to a digital library, but a full opportunities by folders. And here you can see you have about Israeli digital tools. So if you are looking for attraction, or the central, or you want around the Sharon and the coast and the greater Tel Aviv, or in the north, so you just need to click on the folder, and you can come inside the folder and you can find about the Golan Heights, about Haifa, about Akko, about Tzefat. And every time you can find some videos, some guidebook, some maps, sometimes some games, and you can find and you can use them about Israel. By the way, not only around Yom Ha'atzmaut, you can find them all over the year. About modern Israel, you can find here at the digital library. You can find like Israeli Nobel Prize or Startup Nation, or culture and innovation. Culture, by the way, it's not only dancing, it's not only music, it's also a food. And I think, and I guess that you like Israeli food, so you can find here some recipes and some more ideas about Israeli art or Israeli food. Here you can find, and don't forget to make it bigger, so you can learn more how to make delicious homemade hummus, okay, or Israeli salad, etc., etc. You have here, so it can take you forever you want. You have here anytime and everywhere. You have here e-learning, okay, so you can learn more about Yarden Jerby, the winner, the champion that made it by the section of the women judo, and more ideas and tools. So let me return also to Israel Nation. Okay, so Israel Nation, you can click and you can see the folders that we have here. Okay, about Jewish peoplehood, Israel in diaspora Jewry, and the Holocaust memory, etc., etc. And the last one, but not at least, is Jewish identity. Is around Jewish identity, of course, for all over the year, not only for Yom Ha'atzmaut, because you have here Shabbat and Bar Mitzvah, Bat Mitzvah, in holidays, and Shemitah, if it's relevant next year, for example. But let's take the holidays, and you will find here all the Jewish and Israeli holidays. And here we are talking about Yom Ha'atzmaut and Yom HaZikaron and Yom HaShoah, actually the 10 days of independence, okay, that after Pesach, between Pesach and Yom Ha'atzmaut, we are talking about those 10 days. So I click on Yom Ha'atzmaut and look how many tools you can achieve for you from Yom Ha'atzmaut. Here you have the Israeli vision, from vision to reality. Let me give you an example for this one. This is a ready presentation. When you click on it, you will arrive to the main page that gives you all the instruction and all the guide, and you can download by a zip file. Okay, I always recommend to you not use online. Please download it, and then you can use it very nice and not depend any other internet and online. So I did it for you, and let me share with you this one after I download it. Okay, here is the presentation, and the presentation include, at the beginning, it's a ready presentation. You don't need to use everything here. You can decide to jump and to use only a few a few slides. Israel from vision to reality, and then you can click enter, and you can follow by this one. Of course, this is following by guidebook with each slide, so you can learn by yourself, you can taste it by yourself, and then every time you can do it by all the instruction like a tikva now. So it's ready for you with all the words in a phonetic option. Okay, then I jump after a tikva al neharot Bavel. But if I want here, I can jump to Eli Eli, like karaoke version. And always I can go back, okay? And always I can, following this ready ceremony, okay, to do it with the families or with all other students and all the school, or only class, or only as a lesson, as a class. Always I can jump for a few, like if I want to jump directly to the movie of Declaration of Independence, is ready for you.
בארץ ישראל קם העם היהודי, בה עוצבה דמותו הרוחנית.
Etc. etc. You have here more movies, and you have here the songbook. Okay, so you can decide Shir HaMa'alot, for example, if you want only Shir HaMa'alot. Etc. etc. I know that you would love to sing it, but not sure we have enough time today. So let me jump back to the slide. 1 second. What else you can find at the website? Hope you see it. And by the website, you have here more opportunities, okay? Don't forget to make it bigger, like Israeli Innovation Kit. This is fantastic activity that you can download everything, or My Vision through Israel, my vision for the life, my vision for my city, my vision for my community. This is a great tool, and few of you that were at the mission in Israel, we tested the first time. So I think few of you remember it, but now it's open and free for anyone to use it. And of course, you have here the Israeli map, big map that you can make in your backyard. And you have here a lot of opportunities and cards how to use. But let me take as a test the Israeli Innovation, okay, the Israeli Innovation Kit. So you can download it here, everything, include the videos, okay, include the videos. So here is a 13-second video, and I want you to try, okay, to find Israeli innovations during the last 73 years, okay? Are you ready? Ready? Let's go. So this is a part of the activity, and you can use it in a few ways. You have all the guides and the instruction inside, so you can follow, or you can make your directions, and this is a good one. So try again. So for sure, I guess that you found the Bamba, but more than the Bamba, the other opportunities. And here you have another short video that you can see how Israeli innovation influence our life. Let's see the beginning. Israel part of your life. Cherry tomato, in the Arava, in the Negev. Animal water, dry flesh. Yes, the technology came from Israel, so we can go and go and go, and we have a lot. So this is a full activity between 45 to 90 minutes. You can decide. It's really, really nice to do it online, in person, or both, and you can decide. It's very flexible that you can use it for your needs. This is only an example what we have. So let me return back to the presentation. And let me end and open it for Q&A, your Q&A, and any question that you have on it. Let me see. Here. So here you can find in the the independence, Israel independence ceremony. You have here the guide that you can download it for yourself, or put it in your folder, or print it, and every slide you can follow. And here the Yom HaZikaron that will take you directly to the materials of Yom HaZikaron, what I show you at the digital library. And now we are open for any question about the presentation, about the ideas. But before I can say that the main idea for this meetup is to give you a lot of ideas. In one side, to give you ideas how we can mention about our story, our history, and how we can relate and make any kind of story from our background, and how we can relate it, and how we can glue it, and how we can make it as a part of our lesson, class, presentation, etc. Also, we gave you some few models, okay? You can find for, if it's for a kindergarten, so you can use maybe the animation movie or part of the animation movie, or take any song from the ceremony presentation. Or you can take any other classes from the digital library and from the video that we have. I gave you a model by Jewish National Fund, that is a huge organization that belongs to you as mine, because Jewish National Fund is a Jewish national fund. So it's really, really important. More than to learn is how you can support Israel by what we offer to you. And this is a privilege for you to use our materials, and our background is open for you. It's a free of charge for you, because the idea is to connect and to bring the students more closer to Israel. So take those opportunities. And now it's your time for any question and notes and comments, whatever you want. The stage is yours, please.
I'm extremely impressed with all the material that you have here. And I cannot wait to share it with my teachers. And thank you so much. I'm extremely amazing. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Leah. I can say that, I served at the IDF only 25 years, and Lieutenant Colonel. And when I joined to the Keren Kayemet Israel Jewish National Fund, I thought that we are talking only about blue box and the trees. And I surprised to see that this is only maximum 6%. This is really important piece in Israel. It's 30% of the land of Israel, the forest and the land. But more than, we have a lot. So we have a big story, and thank you for your feedback. Thank you, Leah. Who else?
אנחנו מכירים כבר כמה שנים.
Please in English, Ortal. Yes, Ortal, please in English.
Yeah, yes. So I know Zohar many years, and every single time that you present, if to our student in Hebrew Academy Miami, or if you do it in a different organization, I see, and you're very qualified, I have to say, it's you like a babushka. You have so many knowledge, חבל על הזמן, ממש תכלס, like you say, תכלס, אני מאוד 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 נהניתי, and I cannot wait to show it to my student, to my principal, with מורה ג'סיקה, that we work together. So, חג שמח זוהר, תודה רבה.
Thank you so much, Ortal, for your feedback, and you can give me the nachat if you can use the materials, okay? So I love to hear your feedback, but more than, please use the materials, because we created, Daniel and me and Eliana and all our colleagues here and everywhere, to make it accessible for you, okay? So you can bring Israel and the love of Israel to your students. Thank you so much. Thank you.
תודה.
Zohar, I wanted to mention a quick thing that I asked Daniel, that thank you for everything. And I remember when you sent me the Tu Bishvat things, my only request is all for PC. It's not for Mac. All the platforms are open if you have a PC. There's any way you can push a little bit. We are a Mac kind of a school. So all the kids have Mac. So unfortunately, I couldn't use it. I love that I took screenshots and I made my own material from your material. It will be so much easier if you can enable it also for Macs.
Yeah. I have two answers for you. One is good, one is bad, okay? So the good news, let's say, that I recommend to you to replace all your tools, because the bad news that I'm not a technology person, so I'm not sure that I know, but I will move the message to the technology persons. But in meantime, I think most of the computers you can technology you can use all our materials. Okay, so few of them it's like a video version, so you can find the video by YouTube or by the other version. But I'm not sure that I know exactly about the Mac and how.
Yeah, no, that's what I did. I opened it in another computer and I got the addresses from YouTube. But I would love to use the presentations. Anyways. Thank you anyways, it's awesome.
Thank you so much for the note, and I will think what we can do. I will ask.
Thank you.
Hi Zohar, it's
Hey,
Stacy. Hi.
Hey.
So we're doing outdoor school this year, like a camp because of COVID, and we can't use screens outside. So if you have any solutions for the old-fashioned way of
Good question. What I showed at the Israel Innovation or the Vision, you can use it outside. So you can download it, okay, and you can print it, maybe a little bit bigger, A3 and not A4. Or okay, you can decide first, learn about it, and then you can use it outside. Not every materials, but you can use few of the materials, okay. And remember, sometimes it's a music, so you can use the music. Sometimes it's a video, so maybe it will be if it's the evening, but it's a summertime, so I'm not sure. But few of the materials you can use outside. The Israeli map, you can take a lot of opportunities from it. But I have a very, very good recommendation for you. Go to the website and take time for yourself, half an hour to search, to learn what is good for you, what works for you more and less. It depends the age, it depends how many, it depends inside or outside, it depends online or in person, okay? So learn what we have. I gave you, like a taste, and we have an hour. It's 2 academics hour. You can receive the professional development hours, by the way, and 2 trees by as account. And Daniel will explain in a little bit when he will close. But you have here, I think everyone can find everything here that you can go with the opportunity here. I believe we just need the time, because It's not like a pedagogic, okay, I want exactly for the 5th grade, okay, for 30 minutes. You know exactly your students, your level, your age, so you can find. It's really, really easy, but you need time, okay, and a little bit patient. Thank you, Stacy. Okay, so Daniel, the stage is yours to close. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure for me to bring a little bit from my passion, from my background, from my ideas, how to connect to State of Israel. You know, you saw the gap between Abraham and Beersheba today. Okay, so it's a huge gap, but we can put the bridge by Oleh Hadash and by a lot of ideas that I tried to give you. So thank you for the time. And Daniel, please close.
Thank you, Zohar.
A big thank you. It's nearly impossible to follow in Zohar's footsteps. To follow him next on screen, I will tell you, I'm not going to speak for long. It's just going to be a few seconds. So a big thank you. We're going to have another one of these. I think in 2 months or 6 weeks, but be on the lookout. We'll send out another reminder coming up, focusing on a different set of programming, especially looking into the summer in the beginning. The second piece is just a reminder about the Educators Mission. It's really a phenomenal time. I don't know about you, but I am dying to get outside of my house right now. So any good chance to travel safely to Israel is, at least for me, going to be very exciting. And the third piece is just, we're going to be sending out, included in, tomorrow you'll receive a thank you email with all of the pieces, all of the presentations, all of the links from tonight. And we'll be adding trees into your EasyTree account, and it's an online portal. You can go in, fill out the information, and we'll automatically send free trees to anyone, to the people who you fill out, just as a thank you for joining us tonight, and in recognition of the educational hours. So that's all I've got. A big thank you to Zohar, an enormous thank you to you all for joining us and for participating. And we can't wait to see you next time. Thank you all so very much.
תודה רבה, לילה טוב.